On Thursday Night Football, Arizona versus Seattle for the second time this year. The first game was amazing. Arizona got the victory on overtime. And this time they played in Seattle, and Seattle came out on top 21-28. The main storyline from this game was that Seattle's defense is improving. Seattle's pass rush is improving. Seattle as a whole is improving. Russell Wilson had a clean game, 0 turnovers, and the defense held the high-powered Arizona offense to 21 points. So shout out to Seattle's defense. They had struggled. They had been under a lot of scrutiny to start the season, and rightfully so. They were the worst passing defense in NFL history for a while. They were giving up more pass yards per game than any other defense at any time in the NFL. And that was terrible. It put a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson. I think he was forcing throws. He was under a lot of pressure to put up points. And he was getting a lot of turnovers. He was multiple games with multiple turnovers. Very uncharacteristic of Russell Wilson. But now the defense is stepping up. Jamal Adams is back from injury. They traded for Carlos Dunlap. He's helping out their defensive line. They're getting more pressure on quarterbacks. And it really showed yesterday when they sealed the game on fourth down. Kyler Murray's trying to get the offense going, drive down Arizona for the game-tying touchdown. And Seattle rushed 3, and they got to the quarterback. Carlos Dunlap had a one-on-one. He beat the right tackle and sacked Kyler Murray, clinched the game. Great game for Carlos Dunlap. Great trade for Seattle to get Carlos Dunlap. I think he's changed their defensive line. He has 3.5 sacks in 3 games. So that's really good. And the Seattle defense as a whole, since giving up 44 points to the Bills, they gave up 23 points to the Rams, and now they give up 21 points to the Cardinals. So they're trending in the right way. It looks like they're flipping the page. They're turning the page. So hopefully if they're able to just be decent, Seattle will definitely have a chance to make a deep playoff run. And like I said, Russell Wilson had 0 turnovers. He had a clean game. Whenever Russell Wilson doesn't turn over the ball, the Seattle Seahawks are a real tough team to beat. And Russell Wilson, a fun stat that I learned this week, he has never lost 3 games in a row. If he would have lost to the Cardinals, it would have been the first time in his whole 8-year career that he would have lost 3 games in a row. But it didn't happen. He keeps that streak alive. He has never lost 3 games in a row. But I really like the Seattle Seahawks offensive game plan. They finished with 165 rushing yards, 182 passing yards. Real balanced attack. For a lot of the season, they were under the slogan of "Let Russ cook, let Russ cook," and he was putting up gaudy numbers. He was the MVP candidate. He was the MVP leader. But he ran out of steam, mostly because like I said, he was under a lot of pressure to score a lot of points because that defense was terrible. But when you have a bad defense like Seattle does, you gotta help him out. If you're the offense, you gotta help him out. You gotta have long drives. You gotta let them rest on the sideline. You gotta keep the other team's offense on the sideline, not let them get any rhythm going. And 165 rushing yards will do that to you. Carlos Hyde really helped out. 14 carries, 79 yards. One of his better games as a Seattle Seahawk. And Seattle, that really helped Seattle control the time of possession. 35 minutes to 25 minutes by Arizona. And now Seattle, they were able to tough out a good win against a good team. And now they get to the easier part of their schedule. They have Eagles, Giants, Jets, and Washington. They should go 4-0 against those teams. All of those teams are bottom of the barrel teams in the NFL. And I would be surprised if Seattle doesn't go 4-0. By the time they're done with those 4 games, they should be like 11-3 with 2 games left. And then I believe they close out with San Francisco and the Rams. So maybe by the time these 4 games are done, they'll have the NFC West clinched. The Cardinals play the Patriots, the Rams, the Giants, and the Eagles. So they have a little bit tougher. The Patriots are trending up, and the Rams are, they have a chance to get first place if they beat the Buccaneers. So we'll see how the Cardinals respond after this loss. They're a young team. This is one of those wins that would have really helped them build that confidence, start believing in themselves, start winning these tough games. But unfortunately, they weren't able to get the dub. But they're ahead of schedule. This is their second season under their new head coach. This is their second season with Kyle Murray. This is their second season removed from a 3-13 season. So I think they're on the right. They're right on schedule. They're trending upwards. One positive from the game is Isaiah Simmons is starting to play good. He's starting to show the talent that he has. Coming into the NFL draft, a lot of people said that he was a can't-miss prospect. And at the beginning of the season, he wasn't getting playing time for some reason. I think the coach said he wasn't ready, but now he's getting playing time. He led the team in tackles, and he got his first NFL sack. So shout out Isaiah Simmons for turning his rookie season around. But there's two concerns that Arizona should have, or that I took away from this, is their offensive line. They gave up a couple holding calls that really kill their drives. Once you get a holding call and you get in those 2nd and 20s, first and 20, it just kills the rhythm of your offense and makes it almost impossible to maintain long drives. And then they gave up a pressure that led to intentional grounding. And then on the very next play, they get another holding call and it led to a safety. So Arizona has to really shore up that offensive line. They got to protect Kyler Murray. And Patrick Peterson looked like he was getting beat a lot. Last week, he got beat by Stephon Diggs on what looked to be the game-winning touchdown before Kyler Murray found Hopkins on that Hail Mary. But Patrick Peterson looked like he's aging a little bit. He's still a pretty good cornerback, but he's getting up there in age. I don't blame him. Father Time's undefeated. He was a great cornerback for a long time. Now he's just a decent cornerback. He's a pretty good cornerback. But if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I'm starting to look somewhere else. I'm starting to think about the future and see who I could get to be my number one cornerback going forward. But another positive was that their defense wasn't bad. They gave up 28 points to the Seattle Seahawks. 2 of those points were off a safety, and Drake Kirkpatrick he had a dumb foul that led to Seattle extending their drive. They had failed on 3rd and 5, I believe. They only got 3 yards. It was going to be 4th and 2, and then Drake Kirkpatrick got a taunting on DK Metcalf, and then that was basically 15 yards, extended the drive, and they got a touchdown out of it. So if they would have played a little cleaner game, no holding calls, no intentional groundings, no safeties, no tauntings, I think Arizona would have had a better chance to win that game. Obviously, when you give up more than 100 yards in penalties, it's real hard to overcome that. And yeah, ifs. Everybody could talk about ifs, but I think penalties are one of those things that you could correct easier than some, like if it was a tactical thing, if it was our guys are just not on the right position. Penalties is like discipline and discipline. So if Kyle Kingsbury could drill that into his team, hey, if we just don't get penalties, we'll be right there. We have enough talent to compete against anybody. Then I think they'll be all right. So shout out to Seattle, to their defense it looks like they're turning their season around, and now they're in firm control of the NFC West, especially with the schedule that they got coming up. And if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan, don't put your head down. It still has the potential to be a great season. I do believe they're going to make the playoffs, and I really love Kyle Murray. He's a great quarterback. And I think he hurt his shoulder in the first quarter, and it was bothering him throughout the game. He said it was fine, and I believe him. I don't think he's going to keep him out anytime or anything. But that's something to keep an eye out on for. I think it was his left shoulder, not his throwing shoulder, but his left shoulder. So we'll see how that progresses. He does have a longer time to get ready for next week because they did play on Thursday. So I think he should be fine, but that's something to keep an eye out.